Okay, Kankana, we're both live on YouTube and recording, so you can start at any point. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm just waiting for Lakshman Bhai to join. Give me 1 minute. Maybe I don't know, he might take a while. There is an internet issue in this village. Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're audible.
Okay, great. Hi everyone. Hi Pradeep, Satish, Kunzang, Roshan Bhai, and
Hello.
I don't know if Lakshman Bhai has joined. I'm really glad that I can see all of you together on one platform. I've been thinking of having an event of this sort since a long time because I think I also believe while going through certain food festivals that have been around. One is the local food festivals in every village, and then there are these big urbanized food fests, like there is Grub Fest that happens, and there is an international mango festival that happens in Delhi. So I think going through all these festivals, I sort of had a feeling that there has to be a purpose, not just in terms of celebrating the food heritage, but also this is about sharing the heritage to the larger world, and also like have a scope to build economic prosperity in those villages which are like often forgotten, or there is a visibility for us through different types of food identities and lives that different communities have been like following and eating since a very long time. Here I think I feel our panel is actually very diverse. I would also give a chance to all the speakers to introduce themselves, but before that, I can maybe like speak a bit about them and why I feel the panel is really diverse, because Pradeep has been working in Bhima Shankar for a very long time, and Kalpavrix in association with communities since 2009 have been working with the Koli Mahadev tribal community in Bhima Shankar Wildlife Sanctuary. And we have the director of Deccan Development Society, Satish Ji, who has been working on the food festival since 1998. Achha. I heard someone in between. Okay. And hello?
Yeah, continue. You're audible. Yeah.
Okay. And in Ladakh, Kuzang will share how Local Futures has of late also started, and they're trying to create a platform to bring together different food festivals that are happening in the region. And the last will be Dang Darbar. Dang has actually a very interesting history of how it started, which was back in, before independence. So I think Roshan Ji will throw some light on that, and how this festival, I think, very similar to another festival called Are Bangla. This is also like a government of West Bengal initiative of food festival in West Bengal, Calcutta. But I think it's little different in terms of how it evolved, what is the identity and the vision behind having a food festival. Just a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Kankana, and I am associated with Kalpavriksh organization since 2017. I initially started working with tribals in Himachal and in Arunachal Pradesh, mostly on forest rights related work. And then slowly I realized that while going into the community and realizing the kind of food that I am eating versus what the communities, whether it's tribals or like any community which is in the rural areas, it's very different. And every time when I used to come back, I would bring in some ways like their style of preparation or cooking, or like even some sort of like fruits and vegetables that I coming from Rajasthan would not eat. And that is how I think I sort of like started getting an interest towards food, and the larger diaspora around food, and how people are not just living the life of just eating, but these festivals are slowly and very steadfastly becoming the epicenter for the community food revival movement, along with the I feel the celebration of diversity and traditions. So I think this will be a very interesting conversation to hear myself, and I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we can start with Satish ji, because I know like he has some emergency and he might need to like leave. It like your introduction, and we're really glad that I've heard so much about you. I've never like seen you in person and heard you, and I'm really glad to now hear you out. Yes.
Thank you so much for this warm introduction. And you can hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So for us, the food festivals came from our passion for millets. Where we work in a dryland area in Telangana, in Deccan, and millets were 10 years ago, 20 years ago when we started, were the most orphaned crops, as they are called. And people thought that eating millets was a subaltern thing, and people who wanted to be in the front of society and wanted to be seen as fashionable people detested millets. They thought it was a poor man's food, and therefore they did not have to eat millets. And this process, which had gone through for several decades, had also marginalized the range of millet foods. There were not many, except for the roti through millets. And therefore, we took up two kinds of challenges. One was generally as an organization, we were looking for marginalization of various kinds. So we work with Dalit women, and therefore we looked at the sociological and economic marginalization of Dalits. And secondly, the gender marginalization of women. And thirdly, we were looking at the marginalization of their crops. And finally, the marginalization of their foods. Nobody wanted to openly say that we are eating millet roti or millet something. And many other forms of cooking millets had already gone out of fashion. So we embraced these two challenges and started, as I said, about 20, 25 years ago, millet food festivals. And we called out the elderly people in the villages and recovered many of the millet foods that were being made by them and forgotten by the present generation. Anyway, for 20 years, this has happened. And now we are sort of in the center stage of millets. Even the urban fashionable people have embraced millets with a lot of enthusiasm. They think that it's the food of health, nutrition, and as we succinctly call it, they are the future of foods. So with this little introduction, I would like to tell you what we are doing in terms of foods for millets. Around 98, I think, we started an annual biodiversity festival. And this biodiversity festival showcased all kinds of millets that were grown in that area. And it was a celebratory festival instead of talking about biodiversity in an academic fashion. And people from all our villages came and celebrated it together. And I'll show you a glimpse of how it looked. This was in the year 98, and we have already crossed about 20 years of this festival. And every year we celebrate it for 1 month. And during that month, all our people come together and celebrate the crops, celebrate the food, eat together, and sort of help the revival of these foods.
Satishi, can you speak a little louder?
Okay, I can.
This is better.
See, look at this short clip from the film.
Zahirabad region in the Sangareddy district of the South Indian state of Telangana is home to an amazing biodiversity in agriculture. Sushilamma from Raipalli and Chinna Chandramma from Bidakanne are typical examples of very small women farmers who have heroically kept these centuries-old traditions alive in their farms and homes. Gangwar Anjamma, who regularly saves over 80 seed varieties, has even got national recognition and awards for her work as genome savior. It is this rich tradition that inspired the biodiversity festivals of the Deccan Development Society, the DDS. In 1999, the first exhibition showcasing the agricultural biodiversity of the region was organized by the DDS in a space of 3 acres. A number of enclosures built with crop wastes such as grasses and stalks displayed rich strands of this tradition. The wonderful eco-friendly agricultural tools made by local artisans brought out the uniqueness of the craftsmen. The vast seed diversity of the region was the theme of another stall. A number of farm festivals demonstrated the fascinating relationship between culture and agriculture. Uncultivated greens, the incredible byproducts of ecological biodiverse farming, were to be seen to be believed. Veteran women farmers explained to the visitors the pattern of diversity embedded in their farms. Not to be forgotten was the livestock diversity.
So I stopped this clip here, and probably it would have given you a short glimpse of what we have been attempting to do. And as I said, since 1988, every year we have been celebrating this festival, and this has included cooking, various kinds of recipes and dishes, and people are celebrating it regularly. From almost 5,000 people from different villages come together and celebrate it. And then over a period of time, we thought that we celebrate it with rural people who already are familiar with it, but the people who are unfamiliar with it, or people have decided to forget these foods, are the urban people. Therefore, to bring them to this stream of cooking, we decided to open a hotel called Cafe Ethnic. And in the Cafe Ethnic, we completely cook millet foods in the traditional way and serve it to people. It's probably the only organic millet restaurant in the country. And it's the local women who prepare the food and serve it. And we also showcase the various seeds so that people have an idea of where do these foods come from. And this is a glimpse of the hotel. And
Sateshji, the hotel is not visible. The screen is blank.
Blank.
what is not visible?
The screen, the hotel that you're trying to project. While that happens, okay.
Because we have incompetent technicians.
There is a black label in between that's hiding the photo. Now it's visible.
Yeah,
Is it
perfect.
okay?
Perfect now.
Is
Yeah.
it visible? This is
Who
the
did the
front.
murals?
I'm sorry.
The murals?
They are
paint-
on the facade for the hotel. And it's our own people who did the murals. And this is an inside view of the hotel. These are the kinds of dishes prepared in the hotel. Okay, I stop at that. And like I said in the beginning, diversity and biodiversity should not be kept as an academic subject taught in the universities and kept imprisoned among the elite. Therefore, the only way we can bring biodiversity to the people is to take it through the food and not reinvent, but recover the traditions that people had. And the hotel is running now for 20 years and it's not making loss. It's not making huge profit either, but it's fulfilling one of its functions, that it's making the millet foods visible and repopularizing it among the urban people. And therefore, we have that culture which has been taken from the rural people and spread to the urban populations also. And now there is more and more and more demand for these foods. And Hyderabad is now crawling with these millet restaurants. And most of the millet restaurants, if I'm not boastful, are inspired by the DDS experiments. Yes.
We got a question from Tanu. Please tell us what happened to that festival,
It's continuing.
Biodiversity Festival.
Every year, the festival happens for 1 month, from the day of Sankrant till the day of Shivaratri, and it's going from strength to strength, and more people are visiting it.
Sateshji, one personal question, that's something that I have also noticed, is people in the villages themselves have stopped eating millets because kids are saying it is kali roti or it's not as white as wheat. I mean, these are the narratives that I had heard in few villages. Are there youth within the villages starting to eat and consume millet because of the festival, do you think?
Yeah, that's been our challenge right from the beginning. We knew that the current generation is being lost on these foods. So we are making different kinds of efforts to bring bring them back to it. For example, in the school meals, we have tried to introduce millets. We have made classroom sessions for the children to make them understand what millets mean and what is the inferior food in terms of PDS rice that they consume and how it's playing havoc with their health and culture. So many of these efforts are also bringing back, may not be in the same numbers as we would have liked them, but in considerable numbers, they are accepting millet foods. And like I said, there's a huge fashionableness about millets today in cities like Hyderabad also. So that in turn is influencing the young people's tastes and attitudes.
We would wait for a few more questions, or Aman had asked, what challenges are you facing for the cafe ethnic, especially if you are able to, if you want to take it to a certain scale?
Now, we are not looking for the scale at all, because I know scale is always a defeating kind of race. Therefore, we are happy with what we are doing. And if somebody wants to take it up and scale it up, we are happy to help them, but not ourselves.
Yeah, you just mentioned there are millet restaurants in Hyderabad also now.
Yes, there are many.
Okay. So do you think, so DDS is also working on farming and market linkages. So do you
course.
think festivals become a way for people to come connect for the larger value chain, like not just during the festival, but also like connect with the farmers during COVID, let's say?
We are basically farming people. We are farmers. And therefore, our passion for millets began with the way it had been sidelined in the farming activities. And to revive it on the farms led us to the millet restaurant, millet food. And we have also been quite vocal in the media and other places where we constantly talk about millets. So though, as I said earlier, we may sound boastful if we say that the new millet culture spreading in Hyderabad was sown by us. But it's true that we were the ones who were about to talk about it publicly and defend it very vociferously. And therefore, we have been, in a sense, promoters of millet in a much wider public. We did not want it to be just a rural food.
Yeah, right. So like, are there like different types of cuisines that have been explored and experimented? Maybe like cookies or
plenty. Not cookies, not the fashionable foods like cookies, etc., but like khichdis, like rotis, and all those kinds of things which are variants of the traditional cuisine.
Ishtiaq has asked a very interesting question. Can you tell us anything about improvement in nutrition of millet consumers?
I mean, I don't remember the specific studies we have made, though we have tried to do some studies. We have a KVK and our nutritional scientists in KVK have done it. And I'm not fully aware of the details of those studies, but every study has again and again reiterated that millets are the home of nutrition, and people who consume millets are much, much better off than consuming the PDS rice.
Yeah, you did mention initially saying that millet was known as the crop for poor and it has been marginalized. But I have also been personally trying to make a linkage between nutrition, the change in nutrition, and especially like in women and consumption of millet. So let's say if in 5 years, if I have been constantly consuming millet, will there be like a change in nutrition, or can we actually make a categorical remark saying that the change in diet would gradually lead to a more healthier lifestyle? Absolutely. In terms of like beyond just celebrating these festivals?
Yeah. Without any hesitation, you can make that claim. And there are many studies which prove that also, including studies from the National Institute of Nutrition, and some of the smaller studies that we have ourselves conducted in DDS. I mean, we have studied its effect on Anganwadi children, those who are who are fed with regular government rice, and the special control Anganwadis we have introduced millets. There has been a sea change. And if you are serious about it, I can look at those data and send you.
Sure, that would be great. There is one request that if you can share the video of the festival with the team. After
It's
the
on our YouTube, and my colleague will send you the
Thank you.
links.
Som has mentioned farming techniques in area where it has not been farmed for a few years is a challenge. When to sow, when to harvest, how to harvest, etc. Are there YouTube videos in English or Hindi available for it?
I'm not personally aware of it, but there must be those kind of videos because we have been only making those kind of films, no? And any elderly gentleman, any elderly woman in the community can tell you how to do it. It's not a new knowledge for the rural people. And all that we need to do is to build back their confidence in it. And that's the best way.
That was really great having you, Satish ji, here. In case if there we have any more questions, yeah, it will be great if you can send us the Anganwadi study, the relationship.
Certainly, I can do that. I can do that. You can come back with the questions. My colleague is here, Laya, and she will bring those questions to me, and I can come back and answer you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Satish. We'll be in touch, and the moment you send me the link and the email, sorry, the report. There and I think it will be really helpful if you can drop your email ID here or your colleagues. There would be, I think, by the end of this session, there might be questions depending.
Certainly, we will send you the email.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next we have Pradeep. And I also want to highlight here that this will be a bilingual conversation. Hindi mein bhi baat hongi and Angrezi mein bhi. Wherever there is, I mean, whoever requires a translation can please drop in a text in the chat box and we can have like separate parallel translation sending to you when we have like Hindi as the language being spoken here. So I would like to welcome Pradeep from Bhima Shankar here. And I've been associated with Pradeep. I've never personally worked with him, but I am now intending, like slowly inclining to learn more about the activities happening in Bhima Shankar. And yeah, welcome Pradeep. It's really nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you, Kandana. Yeah, so can I start?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So hello everyone. So as Kankana said that I'm working in Bhima Shankar area. So basically Bhima Shankar is the wildlife sanctuary in Pune district, and the Bhima Shankar temple is most of the people know that it is one of the 12th Jyotirlingam in India. And the Bhima Shankar forest is about the semi-evergreen forest, and the community over there is the Mahadev Kodi tribal community. So we have been associating with these communities since 2017. And yeah, so we generally organize wild food festival or wild vegetable festivals every year in a rainy season, because the rainy season is a good season when everybody can find lot of wild vegetables which is grown seasonally, and most of the people also who works with the tribal community, they know various wild vegetables everywhere. So basically, when we started working with the tribal communities of Bhimashankar, then slowly, while having communication with the elderly persons, we found out that their intake of wild vegetables and the local varieties of the food was much more higher than the recent thing. So this was the case in 2017, 2009 or 10. So that time, actually, we have conducted a school picnic over there, and within that picnic, those schools organized health, not health checkup, but it's a kind of health checkup of women from that area. And within that study, we found out that there is a nutritional deficiency within the women of women of those villages, and even they have a scarcity of blood. Their HbF was very less and all that. So then, while talking to the elderly persons, we found out that recently their culture or the food habit, their local food habit has been changed drastically because of the easily available vegetables from the market, and even the market access is very like easily available there, and people have easy market accessible. So that's why now the young generation is not fond of having wild vegetables or the local seeds like ragi and varai and sawa and kodu and other lot of different rice varieties. So that's why then we feel, and even while talking to the younger people, we also come to know that the younger people have very negative remarks towards their food culture or their tribal culture or their food habits, because they were feeling that these like the tribal people, so which are using wild food more than the conventional food, and they have a different varieties of different type of culture of food, and so that's why they were feeling that this is the what do you call it? This is not a right approach, because the outsider people are considering tribal as a very marginalized people, and the people who are residing in the forest and people who are using they are eating anything which is found in the forest. So those are the marginalized, or maybe it's in a negative sense. So that's why the people have a very inferiority complex about their culture, about their food, or about their food habits. So that's why we felt that this needs to be changed, because a lot of people knows the values of the wild vegetables. They knows the values of the medicinal properties which each and every wild food has. So that's why we thought that maybe this stigma or maybe this inferiority complex needs to be lessen and lessen. And the tribal food culture, which is very rich and nutritionally sound. So this culture needs to be propagated or promoted. So that's why we feel that maybe we can have a wild food festival in that area. So we just try and had a wild food festival, we started a wild food festival there. So just hold on, I'll share my screen. So can you see the photographs?
It's not visible.
Just hold on.
Now I can see the screen.
Oh, okay.
freeze over here, Pradeep.
Just hold on, because maybe there is an internet issue. Now, can you see it?
No, it's not visible.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I
Could you do
I
a
don't know.
Acha. Maybe increase the
There
size
is
of
some problem. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So my internet connection is unstable. So
Oh.
can you see it now?
happening. Vasudha, can you just check what is happening?
Someone drew a penis.
What happened?
Someone drew a
Yeah,
penis
so-
and then erased it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stop screen sharing for now, and then you can screen share again. I'll just stop the annotation rights.
Yeah. So should I do it now?
Yeah.
Yes. So can you see it now?
We can't, Pradeep.
Oh, because I can see it.
Yeah, now we
on-
can. Now we can. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So so the basic idea behind this Wild Food Festival was to celebrate the richest food culture of the tribal and tribal cuisine and the local food and all that, and to have to bring to build a more symbiotic relationship of the younger people with the with the forest or with the wild food and with the local food culture. And so that's why we started our food culture from what happened.
I don't know. I think Vasudha, do you think there is this person called John? I saw the
Who is
name.
John? Who is John? Yeah,
Can we please ask John?
remove.
Remove John.
I have done
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. So is it visible?
It's gonna take a while, Pradeep, maybe just like hang on. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll start actually. I'll start. Yeah, so for that purpose, we conducted a wild vegetable festival in one of the villages called Yelavari in Bhimashankar. It is inside the Bhimashankar Wildlife Sanctuary, and it is a small village. So in that village, we conducted that wild food festival, and we called people from outside. So we called people from cities like Rajguru Nagar, Pune, and all that. And those people also came there and they visited these wild food festivals. And within that festival, we different type of recipes was prepared by the local women, and they actually exhibited that those recipes there, and also they explain those recipes with the other people or the visitors with the medicinal properties and with the wild how that wild vegetable look like, where that wild vegetables they can get, and what is the status of that wild vegetable, because some of the wild vegetables are very rare, and it can be extinct if we do not pay attention to their conservation and management efforts. So these kinds of dialogues we had between during the Wild Food Festivals organized in 2009. And within that festivals, we actually that time we had a competition between the women. So the women who knows more about the wild vegetables, or women who knows more about the nutritional value of those wild vegetables, or women who knows more about the medicinal properties of those wild vegetables. So we have we choose some women from those groups, and give some like token of love to them, like some small gift. But after that, we realized that that every women and every participant within that wild vegetable festival, they have a great values, and they have their own what do you call it, the spirit to they have their own spirit to participate in that food festivals. So that's why we from the next year we completely stopped bringing the numbers, and so we considered all women are the same, and we also included more local youth also within that. So youth needs to be understand that the outsider people are very fond of these wild vegetables, and they knows the real value of these wild vegetables. So why should we have these kinds of inferiority complex within us? Because our tribal culture is very rich, our food culture is very rich. Our food, basically the local seed variety and the wild vegetables, are very rich in nutrition and medicinal property. So why should we have such kind of inferiority complex? So for that, but these things need not to be a lesson within a year, because it needs more and more years to be lesson that inferiority complex. So therefore, while after organizing these wild food festival in Yearly, and by seeing the success of these wild food festivals, we thought that maybe every year this can be a like a culture to organize a food festival every year. So maybe so each village can organize their food festival in every year, like they organize their annual fair or annual festivals like Holi and all that. So that's why we continued to or we facilitated to continue these festivals can go every year. And yeah, so within these festivals, actually we try to participate or we try to involve forest department. We try to involve local panchayat. We try to involve for local self-help groups, even school kids, and within that festivals, we also try to bridge the gap between the elderly persons and the local youth, and how that intake of the wild vegetables can be much more, and because these people, these elderly people, so we in those festivals we have we generally called the outside people, some doctors, and even from the community people, and we conduct a talk on the nutritional and medicinal values of the wild vegetables, and how these vegetables help earlier generation to survive in these in their early age, when there was a very drastic food scarcity was there. So actually, the older generation always talk to the people that when they were young. So that at that time there was a very scarcity of local food, because they don't have PDS system. Their agriculture was very less, and the yield was very less. So that's why they were facing the scarcity of the food earlier days. So to sustain that, or to have more filling in their stomach, they used to have more wild foods. They use more wild berries. They use more wild leafy vegetables like kurdu and chisardi and other wild vegetables like kartuli and that wild bananas and all that. So that can be fill their stomach, empty stomach. So that is that is the main ingredient in their diet, and because of that, they were not prone to the diseases like cancer or diseases like heart attack, diseases like the diabetes and all that. So when we wanted to have the talk on in these wild food festivals, so that time we realized, and even the doctors also said that most of the vegetables have very rare medicinal properties which can cure or which can prevent to have such the serious diseases like cancer and heart attack and these diabetes and all that. So that's why we have every year we organize these wild food festivals, and we call people from outside. We also call school kids. We also call young people, and we have that gatherings each year. So recently, in 4 villages, we are having these wild food festivals, and these wild food festivals are going in a very right directions. And by seeing the success of these wild food festivals, even the agriculture department and other departments are always wanting to collaborate with these women, collaborate with Kalpavruksha to organize these wild food festivals. Even we have documented 62 type of wild food, wild vegetables of Bhimashankar, with the recipes and their medicinal medicinal use and all that. So you can see this. Can you see this?
You have to unshare your screen.
Yes, yes. Stop sharing. Yeah. So this is the booklet we have published, and with the help of local women. And so here you can find, it is in Marathi, so you can find recipes and medicinal use of these and all that, and different kinds of things. And the most interesting thing which local women was reiterating, that these wild vegetables are not for the sale, because recently there are a lot of wild food festivals are happening in lot of villages, and it is happening in Pune, Mumbai, and all that areas also. So they always want to have market these wild wild vegetables. But the local women took a decision that no, boss, we are not going to sell these wild vegetables, because most of the wild vegetables are rare, and we do not want to sell these. So we only want to consume for ourselves. If you want to taste it, please come to the wild food festival, have it there, and just go there. Even in cities, you have different types of wild vegetables. So you please try those wild vegetables instead of buying vegetables from Bhimashankar area. So that is the one stand they have reiterated. Then second thing is that lot of people approached us, to Kalpavruksha also, and to the local women also, that please organize these wild food festivals in some city areas like Mumbai, Pune, and Rajgurunagar, Chakan. But these women are firm, and they said no, we are not going to go anywhere. But if you feel that these needs to be organized, then we organize the wild food festival in our village. You please come there and enjoy the wild food of our area. So yeah, so these kinds of initiatives and these kinds of things we have been doing from last 12, 13 years. And nowadays we are more focusing on the conservation and propagation of the wild vegetables, because lots of wild vegetables are diminishing. So we are focusing now on that. So we have now we have established a small seed bank in one of our villages called Bhomale, and there one self-help group is looking after that seed bank. So in that seed bank, we have a local seed variety also, agriculture varieties, and even the wild vegetable varieties also. So yeah, so that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
That was really interesting. We have a few questions, Pradeep, but before that, I just wanted to also know. I remember during the festival also there is music and community traditional songs being sung.
Yeah.
So I want to know.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, during the festivals, we try to bring or try to revive our like culture, old culture. Try to revive the old culture of tribal. And in this area, the local culture is rapidly diminishing. So we want to just revive, or we want to just bring some those aspects in our food festivals. So I can show you one of the videos in that festival. Just hold on. So even we also celebrated local seed festival also in 2019, and after that, because of the COVID, it didn't happen. And in 2021, we celebrated Wild Food Festival again, and within that festival, we called a troop, a tribal group who are exercising their traditional music system. So we called them for that. So it is very slow in opening.
Can you, okay, so maybe we can take another question here, Pradeep. यहाँ अमन ने पूछा है, what are the indicators which are being used to measure the increase in uptake of wild vegetables and the success of the food festival? How do we measure this?
Yeah, so actually we don't have any formal sorts of any study or any what do you call it, any measurement type of thing. But because we slowly and gradually we have seen that a lot of women are collecting the wild vegetables, and they are also collecting some wild vegetables during the summer months and the non-seasonal wild food vegetables. They dried it and they use it while the food festival is there. And even some local youth are also involved in this, and they also goes to the forest to collect the wild food and all that.
You should be interested. You are interested.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, somebody was asking something.
I heard someone say something, but I think we lost them. So the next question is by Usha. She says, now there is a push for rice fortification in the country, especially to the vulnerable population. I mean, in the form of PDS or like subsidies and growing ration, etc. While we have so much of diversity high in nutritional quality, how can we make our state governments understand this?
Yes, so actually, like DDS, no. So DDS has done a lot of good work over there, and they, if I am not mistaken, they have also included. They have also done some good work on the policy level also, and I think their PDS system has. They have included that local millets also. So I think that needs to be done, but that needs very the policy level work, and our government needs to be
Hello, Pradeep.
Yeah, I think the video got stuck. I'm just gonna stop sharing screen. Pradeep, your video is stuck.
Hello.
Kankana, you're
Hello.
on.
Hello.
Yeah. So, will you able? Did you able to see this video?
No, we can't. But is it possible that I can share it with the rest of the team later?
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. Fine.
there are also people interested to know when the wildlife vegetable
Wild Food Festival.
festival is scheduled this year. What is the procedure to register? And if there is like a WhatsApp group where people can know what is happening and like add and create a network. Ishtiaq has also raised one question here. He says, in Bihar, we are working with small and marginal women farmers on mainstreaming edible wheats and other uncultivated. Our experience is that these fruits, veggies, and leafy greens are more resilient to extreme weather events and are helpful in providing something that we can eat round the year. And what has been your experience? Hello?
Yeah, I think he's stuck again, so I'm just going to.
Okay.
Yeah. We should.
So far, I think we have had one biodiversity festival. The other one is wild vegetable festival happening in Bhima Shankar. The third we have with us is Roshan Bhai and Lakshman Bhai from Dang. Let me tell you a bit about Dang. It's a small tribal district. I mean, it's populated 9. Oh, we have Pradeep back. Pradeep, I think there is one question for you. Maybe we can take it in the.
Okay. Fine.
What was that?
My internet connection is.
I am not accepting a random name here.
Oh, I accepted it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's Rajiv, but
No,
yeah.
no, there is some Spanish.
I have England.
Kuzang. I think Kuzang's phone got.
No Russia. No Russia. Yes, England. England.
Somebody
yes.
called QZ.
Who's this Yusuf? I can't.
Void incarnate.
Кидая стебли чемпионат, мой красный сет убил всех, у них башки один при себе. Покажу тоннели, ты мне найди меня. Я скрылся, я пропавший диск, милый, ты не оставлю.
Hi, yeah, there is a lot of spammers on this right now. So I am not allowing people to unmute themselves unless I make them the co-hosts, because there are a lot of spammers right now, and I am not even allowing them to. Yeah, so now the participants can't chat to anyone. We're really sorry for this extreme setback, because there have been a lot of spammers who joined and wrote some very vile things because of which we have to completely take away any of the rights that the participants had. Although we wanted this to be an open and free session, we do not see that happening. And yeah, so I'm going to give the session back to Kankana now. And we have removed all rights for people to unmute and or start their video or anything. I'm really sorry about this, but this is just something we'll have to do to make sure that the people who have come here and taken out time to present and share their work are respected and given like the space to speak without being bombarded and harassed. Thank you. Kankana, you can take over.
Hello. Hi. I'm really sorry, everyone. Still, we'll figure out how to move around this. But till that time, please feel free to drop in private messages here. Is that possible? If
3 дня. Гениально! Но не переживайте, на вкус это не влияет.
Ребята, я сейчас вам раскрою секрет, почему в ресторанах...
Hello?
Вы...
Vasudha, is it possible for us to create another new link and send it across?
So it's all right. I've removed every right that a person has. Only hosts can do anything at all now, which is really sad. But yeah, that is what we're doing now. So Roshanji can unmute themselves now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share a bit about what Dang is, and so there is, I'm sorry, I'm just a bit hazed out right now looking at what happened. We keep talking about localization and you know how we need to create a global localization movement, but if we have like so many of these errors in between, so never mind. So Dang is a small district in between Gujarat and Maharashtra border, which is primarily inhabited by tribal community. 98% of them are tribals. And they have a very unique festival called Dang Darbar. And we have 2 community members from Adivasi Mahasabha, Lakshman Ji and Roshan Bhai. And I would hand over the mic to them, and मैं चाहूंगी कि ये it will be a mix of Hindi and English, तो कहीं पे भी translation का जरूरत हो, आपको कुछ सवाल होंगे रोशन भाई, लक्ष्मण भाई, मैं आपसे मैं पूछ सकती हूँ, और अगर आपको लगता है या किसी और को भी, if someone in the audience wants particular translation, please write to us. We can either send them, given the situation right now on the computer. I don't think we'll be able to have like a parallel translation going on, but we'd be happy to write the entire discussion happening here in English and send it to you. So Roshan bhai और लक्ष्मण भाई, मैं ये बता रही थी कि आप आदिवासी महासभा के सदस्य हैं और डांग के बारे में बताया है. हम चाहेंगे कि आप डांग दरबार के बारे में कुछ बताएं, उसके इतिहास के बारे में कि ये जो फेस्टिवल है वो किस तरीके से शुरू हुआ, उसका आइडिया क्या था, और अब जो वहां पे जो महिला सखी मंडल है या नहारी है जो शुरू हुए हैं, तो उसके बारे में, और डांग के बारे में भी आप बताएंगे तो अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं लगता है कि इस कोने के बारे में देश में इतना लोग जानते भी हैं. सो हाँ, नमस्ते.
नमस्ते, जोहार. आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ जी.
हाँ, तो मैं रोशन हूँ और लक्ष्मण भाई बागुल. डांग के बारे में कंकना ने बताया. ये बहुत छोटा जिला है, गुजरात और महाराष्ट्र. गुजरात के साउदर्न पार्ट में है. 311 गांव है और 98% पॉपुलेशन ट्राइबल्स का है यहाँ पे. तो बेसिकली डांग दरबार की अगर बात करें तो डांग ऐसा रीजन है जिसको ब्रिटिशर्स लास्ट तक कंकर नहीं कर पाए, वो कभी जीत नहीं पाए. तो उन्होंने 3 बार हमला किया और तीनों बार फेल रहे और बाद में उन्होंने सुलह की है. तो 1942 में ये सुलह हुई और वहां पे फिर बात ये हुई कि हम आपका जंगल लेंगे और बदले में राजाओं को जो है, यहाँ के राजाओं को जो है एक ईयरली पेंशन मिलेगा. पेंशन बोलो या उसका रिम्यूनरेशन जो भी बोलो आप, वो मिलेगा. 1842 में ये सारी चीजें डिसाइड हुई. और डांग दरबार जो है वो 1861 से रेगुलरली जिस तरीके से अभी हम देख रहे हैं, आपने देखा होगा, उस फॉर्म में आया है. उसका सोल ऑब्जेक्टिव यही था कि जितने भी राजवी परिवार के सभ्य हैं उनको एक पॉलिटिकल पेंशन मिले, एक ईयरली सेलिब्रेशन हो. ये मेला जो है वो होली के 3-4 दिन पहले लगता है. तो होली जो है वैसे ही ट्राइबल्स के लिए बहुत बड़ा फेस्टिवल होता है। तो एक राजाओं का सम्मान है, उसके साथ में दूसरा क्या है कि ये एक लौता फेस्टिवल है जहाँ पे गुजरात से, पहले ज्यादातर गुजरात से लोग आते थे। इवन प्रोटोकॉल ये है कि गवर्नर को आना पड़ेगा और वो इनोग्रेशन करेंगे, राजाओं का सम्मान करेंगे, ये सारी चीजें। तो ये डांग दरबार का ये हिस्ट्री है। लेकिन डांग जो है वो जाना किस लिए जाता है, तो 3 चीजें हैं। एक तो यहाँ का जो प्राकृतिक सौंदर्य है, नेचुरल ब्यूटी जो है, एक उसके लिए जाना जाता है। तीसरा यहाँ के फोक म्यूजिक, फोक डांसेस, और उसके लिए जाना जाता है। और तीसरा जो है उसका फूड, यहाँ के जो फूड सिस्टम है उसको जाना जाता है। तो प्रदीप भाई अभी थोड़ी देर पहले प्रदीप जी ने बताया कि ट्राइबल एरियाज में बहुत सारी चीजें मिलती हैं, जो वाइल्ड फूड फेस्टिवल जो होता है। तो डांग भी सिमिलरली रेन फॉरेस्ट एरिया है, मानसून की खेती होती है यहाँ पे, बाकी टाइम पे जंगल से जो मिलता है उसी के ऊपर निर्भर रहना पड़ता है। तो यहाँ पे जैसे अभी मानसून शुरू हो गया है, मानसून में सब कहते हैं हमारे यहाँ पे हमको बाजार की कोई जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है, जितनी भी सब्जियां चाहिए, वेज नॉन वेज जो भी चाहिए आपको वो जंगल से मिल जाएगा। और बाकी दोनों साथियों ने बताया कि ये चीजें जो होती है बहुत न्यूट्रिशियस होती है। सो डांग में भी रागी, मिलेट्स जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा प्रमाण में हुआ करते थे। लेकिन बाय द टाइम, इसके ऊपर भी आएंगे किस तरीके से फूड सिस्टम चेंज हुआ है। लेकिन मैं बोलूंगा कि डांगी फूड जो है, अभी हम देखते हैं 4-5 चीजें हम जो देखते हैं, जैसे नागली की रोटी हमने देख ली, भुजिया पीठ, अड़द की दाल है, तेरा की भाजी है, ये बहुत सारी मेन स्ट्रीम चीजें हो गई हैं जो बाकी लोग भी खाते हैं, इसलिए वो चलती हैं। गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से इसको बहुत ज्यादा प्रमोट नहीं किया गया है। हालांकि डांग डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो है गुजरात का एक लौता डिस्ट्रिक्ट है जिसको 100% ऑर्गेनिक डिस्ट्रिक्ट घोषित किया गया है। फिर भी यहाँ पे एक चीज ये है कि जिस तरीके से बाकी साथियों ने बोला कि हमारे यहाँ पे बीज बैंक है वगैरह है, तो ये चीजें यहाँ पे डांग में नहीं हुई है। तो यहाँ का जो डाइवर्सिटी है वो थोड़ा थोड़ा अभी कम होते जा रहा है। लेकिन एक चीज जो अच्छी है डांग दरबार के थ्रू हुई, उसके बाद में अभी कंटिन्यूटी में हो रही है। तो गवर्नमेंट यहाँ की जो लोकल एजेंसियां हैं उन्होंने नाहरी केंद्र करके एक रेस्टोरेंट चेन चलाई है, जिसमें हर गांव की महिलाओं का एक सखी मंडल होता है। जो जितना सक्षम सखी मंडल है, बहुत सारे टूरिस्ट प्लेस हैं डांग जिले में, तो हर टूरिस्ट प्लेस के पास में एक नाहरी केंद्र लगाया गया है। और वहां पे गांव की महिलाएं अपने ही द्वारा उगाया गया जो खाना होता, धान जो होता है, उससे ही बहुत सारी चीजें बनाती है और यहाँ पे सर्व की जाती है। दूसरा है गवर्नमेंट एनकरेज कर रहा है ग्रामीण किसानों को कि अपना प्रोडक्ट जो है वो शहरों में, जैसे सूरत है, अहमदाबाद है, बड़ौदा है, ऐसे सिटीज में फूड फेस्टिवल्स होते रहते हैं, सात्विक फूड फेस्टिवल बोलते हैं उनको। तो वो सारी चीजें होती है, तो वहां पे भी वो जाते हैं। तो एक तरफ से ये चेन चल रहा है। दूसरी तरफ मैं बोलूंगा कि आई एम सॉरी थोड़ा अगर डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो रहा हो भी तब भी, लेकिन जो ट्राइबल एरिया में जो चीजें डाली गई है, जैसे अभी पीडीएस सिस्टम में आप बोलो, तो हमारे यहाँ पे जैसे डीडीएस के साथी ने बताया कि उन्होंने कुछ चीजें जो है वो लोकल पीडीएस सिस्टम में डाली है। हम लोग भी लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं कि यहाँ का जो लोकल फूड है, जो ट्राइबल्स का लोकल फूड है, बाजरी, ज्वार है, नागली है, वरई है, ये सारी चीजें पीडीएस में है। लेकिन होता क्या है कि चावल ला के बाहर से दिया जाता है, गेहूं ला के से बाहर से दिया जाता है। अब ये दोनों चीजें ऐसी हैं कि इसको उगाने के लिए आपको फर्टिलाइजर की जरूरत पड़ेगी, है ना। तो ऑर्गेनिक खेती कहाँ जाएगी? और ऑर्गेनिक खेती जो है, ऑर्गेनिक खेती से रागी वगैरह ये चीजें जो है, बाकी साथी भी इसमें सहमत होंगे, इसको उगाने के लिए हार्डवर्क ज्यादा है, बाकी चीजों के लिए इतना हार्डवर्क नहीं है। लेकिन मिलेट्स उगाने के लिए आपको हार्डवर्क थोड़ा करना पड़ता है। इसका कोप भी थोड़ा देर से आता है बाकी कोप के उसके उसमें। लेकिन कोई ऐसा इस तरीके से कोई क्या बोलते हैं कि आप एनकरेजमेंट लोगों को नहीं है कि वो अपने लोकल फूड को सेलिब्रेट कर पाए, उसको प्रमोट कर पाए, या उसको आगे कंटिन्यू कर पाए। जैसे हम हमेशा डिस्कस करते हैं कि क्यों नहीं हो पाता है। तो एक चीज है कि जब तक हम खुद इसको एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे या अपने दैनिक जीवन में इसको नहीं लाएंगे, तब तक इन फूड्स का फिर मतलब, जैसे अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि जो चीजें मैं 5 साल पहले खाता था अभी मेरे को खाने को नहीं मिल रही है ना। तो आगे 10 साल में क्या होगा इसका, तो उसके लिए जो सोचा जाना चाहिए वो सोचा नहीं जा रहा है। बायोडाइवर्सिटी एक्ट बना दिया गया है, लेकिन उस एक्ट का फायदा कौन उठा रहा है और किस तरीके से उठाया जाएगा, ये हम और आप डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर के लोग हैं तो जानते ही होंगे, है ना। सो जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी है ये तंत्र की वजह से, मतलब जो गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन है उसकी वजह से किस तरीके से स्पेसिफिकली ट्राइबल एरियाज में, आप छत्तीसगढ़ की बात कर लो या डांग की बात कर लो या किसी और जंगल एरिया की बात कर लो, वहां पे जंगल कटाई बहुत बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे हो रही है। और हम एक किस्म के पेड़ काटने से उसका पूरे इकोसिस्टम में क्या असर पड़ता है उसके बारे में कभी सोचने की जहमत ही नहीं उठाते हैं। तो यही चीजें हुई हैं, जो फलाव झाड़ हैं जिसके ऊपर फल लगते हैं, जिसके ऊपर फूल लगते हैं, जिसका कंदमूल खाए जा सकते हैं, ऐसी चीजों का निकंदन जो है वो तंत्र की वजह से हो रहा है। साथ में लोगों का भी उतना ही है, लेकिन बात वही है जो मैं बाकी साथी जो है वो डेवलपमेंट सेक्टर की उसमें फूड सिस्टम को किस तरीके से और स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाया जाए, हम लोकल गवर्नेंस से किस तरीके से अपनी चीजों को साझा किया जा सकता है, संभाल के रखा जा सकता है, उसके ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं। सो हम सेल्फ गवर्नेंस की बात करते हैं, जब तक हमारे रिसोर्सेज के ऊपर हमारा पूरा प्रभुत्व नहीं होगा या उसका मैनेजमेंट करने की सत्ता जो कानूनन आदिवासियों को दी गई है वो तब तक नहीं मिलती है, तब तक एटलीस्ट मेरे एरिया के लिए मैं बोलूंगा कि फूड सिक्योरिटी एक इश्यू है दोनों तरीके से। अगर गवर्नमेंट सप्लाई भी कर रही है तो वो क्या सप्लाई कर रही है। जैसे अभी फोर्टिफाइड चावल आ रहे हैं, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा, वो फोर्टिफाइड चावल जो है वो कुछ बीमारियों के लिए बहुत घातक है, लेकिन उसका एक्सपेरिमेंट अगेन ट्राइबल एरियाज में ही हो रहा है। बट उसकी जगह जो होना चाहिए था कि जो लोकल फूड है, जो अभी आप मतलब पूरी दुनिया मानती है कि रागी जो है वो बहुत न्यूट्रिशियस है, तो जहाँ पे इसका कोर क्रॉप होता है वहां पे इसका प्रोडक्शन क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, ये लोग क्यों हट रहे हैं। अभी जितना भी बचा हुआ है वो ट्राइबल्स की लोकल जो सिस्टम से, जैसे हाट में अभी भी ऐसा होता है कि अगर मेरे पास में रागी है, आपके पास में चावल है, आपके पास में कुछ धान है, तो वो एक्सचेंज होता है, या मैं बाजार में बेचता हूँ फिर वहां से पैसे लेता हूँ और बाकी जरूरत की चीजें लेता हूँ। तो इस तरीके से अभी भी वो रोटेशन में है, मतलब लोगों के घरों में पहुंच रही है, लेकिन उसको उगाने के लिए जो प्रोत्साहन मिलना चाहिए वो प्रोत्साहन नहीं मिल रहा है। हम बोल रहे हैं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि अभी जब भी फील्ड में जाते हैं, लोगों से मिलते हैं, 90 साल 100 साल के लोग मिलते हैं, उनसे एक ही सवाल पूछा जाता है। मैं 40 का हूँ, मुझे 3-4 बीमारी ऑलरेडी लग चुकी है। मैं उनसे पूछता हूँ कि आप इतने, और अभी वो चल फिर के घूम रहे हैं, मतलब वो अपना काम खुद कर लेते हैं, ये सारी चीजें। एक ही सवाल पूछा कि क्या मतलब आपकी और हमारी जनरेशन में क्या क्या ऐसा डिफरेंस है जो ये बड़ा दिख रहा है। उन्होंने एक ही बात बोला कि हमने अच्छा खाया, आप खराब खाना खा रहे हो। सिंपल वन लाइनर उन्होंने दिया कि हम अच्छा खाना खाए थे, जो भी था उसको ज्यादा प्रोसेस भी नहीं किया हम लोगों ने, नेचुरल वे में हम लोग उसको कंज्यूम करते थे, इसलिए हम स्ट्रॉन्ग रहे हैं। सो इट्स नॉट अबाउट टेस्ट। मुझे लगता है कि ये सिर्फ टेस्ट की वजह से, टेस्ट के लिए या उसके लिए नहीं, लेकिन एक ह्यूमन बॉडी के लिए कौन सी चीजें जरूरी है वो भी हमको देखना चाहिए। और मुझे लगता है कि ट्राइबल्स में ये चीजें बहुत ही पहचानी हुई हैं, और जो वेराइटी होनी चाहिए वो वेराइटी इसमें दिखती है। मैं एज अ इंडिविजुअल या एज अ आदिवासी महासभा का मेंबर, हम लोगों ने ऐसा बहुत कुछ स्ट्रॉन्ग काम इसके लिए ऐसे नहीं किया कि हमने कोई फूड फेस्टिवल ऑर्गेनाइज किया हो या जो भी है, लेकिन जितने भी बड़े कार्यक्रम हमारे हुए हैं, हमने ये कोशिश की है कि ट्रेडिशनल वे में खाना बने, ट्रेडिशनल धान का खाना बने, ट्रेडिशनल सब्जियां बने हमारे उसमें। तो एक किस्म का फेस्टिवल हम भी करते हैं, लेकिन उसमें हम किसी को इनवाइट नहीं करते हैं। सो मेरी तरफ से इतना है। अगर कोई क्वेश्चन होगा तो मैं बाद में रिस्पॉन्ड करूंगा। अभी लक्ष्मण भाई अगर कुछ अपनी तरफ से।
यहाँ के जो अस्तुधान, यहाँ नागली जो रागी कहते हैं, नागली है, वरी है, और बाकी जो है ना सावा, कोदा, बर्टी, ये जो धान है ना जो वरी के जैसे ही थे, अब ये खत्म हो गए। इसका जो उसका बीज नहीं मिलेगा, तो प्रोत्साहन क्या किए, जो कुछ नागली है तो उसको लेकर सरकार उसको प्रोत्साहित कर देगी, चल नागली में से 10 या 15 प्रकार की चीजें बने, बाजार में बिके, उससे रोजगार मिले, उतने तक ही है। बाकी जो आप कहें कि जंगल की सब्जियां हैं बहुत सारी, जो मतलब बात फेस्टिवल की नहीं है, लेकिन वो चीजें जो सरकार जब पेड़ काटती है, और जो पेड़, तो बहुत सारे ऐसे पेड़ हैं जिससे सब्जी खा सकते हैं 1 साल के लिए, मतलब कुछ सीजन के लिए। तो ऐसे बहुत सारे पेड़ हैं जो काटे जाते हैं, उसके बाद उसको लगाया नहीं जाता। लगाता क्या है, बस साग लगा देते हैं जिससे पैसा मिलेगा सरकार को। तो जो बाकी जो आदिवासी को जो जीवन चलता है ना, वहाँ की जो सब्जियां मिलती है जंगल में से, पेड़ में से, तो वो जो पेड़ नहीं लगाए जाते, वो सरकार खत्म कर देती है। तो वो जो आसानी से मिल जाता था, सब्जियां मिलती थी जंगल में से, वो कम हो रही है। लोग भूले नहीं, उसको छोड़े नहीं, लेकिन और दूसरा उसकी जगह दूसरी चीजों ने भी वो जगह भरी है, दूसरी सब्जियां भी आ गई, लेकिन वो हम लोगों ने छोड़ा नहीं है। पर यहाँ फेस्टिवल नहीं होते, लेकिन फेस्टिवल सरकारी होते हैं, उसमें कुछ ही चीजें आती हैं, सारी चीजें जंगली सब्जियां नहीं आती उसमें। तो वो लोगों के जीवन में है, वो लोग खाते हैं, लेकिन अब धीरे धीरे वो सरकार को पेड़ को खत्म कर रही है। बहुत सारे पेड़, जैसे कि शीशम का पेड़, शीशम एक पेड़ है, बहुत ही मतलब मजबूत पेड़, लेकिन उसकी भी सब्जी, ऐसे बहुत सारे भोपोरे, 15-20 ऐसे पेड़ हैं जो उसका लकड़ा यूज होता
I can't hear him. Can you?
No, me neither.
No, even I can't.
रोशन भाई आप म्यूट पे हैं और उनकी आवाज
आपका सुनाई
भाई की
सुनाई
आवाज
नहीं दे रहा।
हाँ हाँ, अभी आवाज आ रही है क्या? हाँ।
शीशम के बारे में बात कर रहे थे आप?
हाँ, तो शीशम एक पेड़ है, इस तरह से बहुत सारे पेड़ हैं शीशम के जैसे, जिनसे मतलब सब्जियां मिलेगी है कि अलग अलग मौसम के। तो ऐसे बहुत सारे पेड़ हैं जो सरकार काट तो देती है, बाद में दोबारा लगाती नहीं है। तो वो जो सिस्टम, वो जो मिलता है लोगों को, वो सरकार खत्म कर रही है। लोग भूले नहीं है, मतलब लोग भूले नहीं। हाँ, हालांकि दूसरी सब्जियां भी आई जीवन में, नहीं आती है, लेकिन जो जंगल की सब्जियां हैं वो लोग भूले नहीं। हाँ, सरकार उसको खत्म कर रही है, मतलब पेड़ काटती तो वो लगाती नहीं है। और दूसरा, जैसे कि जंगली केले की भी बात करी, तो जंगली केले का बहुत सारे उपयोग है। जैसे कि उसका उपचार है, पथरी के लिए भी उसका पानी का उपचार है। फिर केले, जो कच्चा केला होगा उसका सब्जी भी होगा, पक्का होगा वो भी खाएंगे। और दूसरा, जैसे कि बाम्बू, सूखे बाम्बू से वाथरटा निकलता है, वाथरटा एक प्रकार का मशरूम, तो वो लोग खाते हैं। और जब अतिरिक्त है, ज्यादा है, तो लोग सुखा के रखते हैं, फिर ऑफ सीजन में खाते हैं। उसी तरह से वांसदी है तो वांसदी का अचार बना दिया, और अतिरिक्त हो तो उसको ऐसे ही प्रिजर्व कर रख दिया, ऑक्सीजन में खाएंगे। तो ये सारी चीजें लोग खुद करते हैं, उसको सिखाना नहीं पड़ रहा है। बात इतनी सी है कि सरकार उसको खत्म ना करे, ताकि वो सब सिस्टम चला रहे, वो सब्जियों का, जंगल की सब्जियों का सिस्टम चला रहे। बस ये समस्या है। और कुछ पूछना हो तो पूछेगा।
बाकी जगह पे जो है ना, आई थिंक बहुत संगठन के तौर पे काम हो रहा है, उसके ऊपर फोकस में काम हो रहा है, गुजरात में भी हो रहा है। लेकिन दृष्टिकोण जो है वो मार्केट का दृष्टिकोण हमको भी देखना पड़ेगा। सिर्फ प्रोडक्शन यहाँ पे हो रहा है, रूरल एरियाज में हो रहा है, लेकिन उसका सेलिंग कहाँ पे, उसका बेनिफिट किसको मिल रहा है, और जो प्रोडक्शन करने वाला है उसको क्या बेनिफिट है, अदर देन मॉनिटरी एक्सचेंज के बिना दूसरा क्या है उसके पास, उसकी खुद की फूड सिक्योरिटी का क्या है। सो क्या बोलेंगे उसको कि एक व्यूह रचना जो बोलते हैं कि मार्केट इसी तरीके से काम करता है। तो मुझे प्रदीप भाई की बात बहुत अच्छी लगी कि अगर किसी को खाना है तो यहाँ पे आइए, ठीक है, हम आपको खिलाएंगे, लेकिन फिर आप ये बोलेंगे कि हम इसका मार्केट बना के आपको सप्लाई करें, तो थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा ना। मतलब वही चीजें जो है, आपका रूटीन अलग है, शहरों का रूटीन अलग है, आपकी जरूरत अलग है, हमारी जरूरत अलग है। जो चीजें हम पहले हमारा हो, उसके बाद में हम आपकी बात करें। सो ये सिंपल लॉजिक पे। और अभी बाकी साथियों से बस एक बात कहना चाहेंगे कि अभी हम अलग मोड में है, अभी हम लोग पूरा दक्षिण गुजरात अलग मोड में चल रहा है, प्रोटेस्ट के मोड में चल रहा है, तो हमारी भाषा में ही ज्यादा प्रोटेस्ट ही शायद दिखेगा। बट वी वैल्यू आवर फूड कल्चर एंड हमको जो लगता है कि इसका सबसे बड़ा इसके ऊपर जो जोखम है वो किसकी तरफ से है। तो जैसे अंग्रेज आए थे जंगल के लिए ही, पेड़ के लिए, वैसे अभी इंडियन गवर्नमेंट भी वापस जंगल के लिए ही मर रही है। और वो जंगल के लिए, वो जंगल चला गया, उसके बाद में बाकी सारा फूड डाइवर्सिटी का बात कैसे करेंगे। जैसे अभी डांग जिले में अगर 3 डैम, बड़े डैम बन गए, तो आधा डांग चला जाएगा। फिर हम किस फूड सिस्टम की बात करेंगे, किस फूड को बचाने की बात करेंगे, या किसको ग्रो करने की बात करेंगे, है ना। तो ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें हमको आई थिंक सोचनी पड़ेगी। आई थिंक थोड़ा डाइवर्ट कर दिया हम लोगों ने, बट ठीक है जी। कोई सवाल अगर है किसी का तो पार्टिसिपेंट बचे हैं तो।
बात बोलना चाहूंगी, वी आर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी आर वेरी सॉरी for the coarse content and the profanity that everyone had to see, and थैंक यू सो मच कि आप लोग फिर भी जुड़े रहे हैं इसमें। एक चीज बोलना चाहूंगी, जिसको भी सवाल है वो मुझे या फिर विकल्प संगम 2 है उसको भेज सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमने कुछ चीजें वी कैन नॉट टेक अवे दी एनोटेशन राइट्स ऑन अ क्विक नोटिस, तो हमने डिसेबल कर दिया है अभी सबके सवाल चैट बॉक्स पे। मुझे भेज सकते हैं, सो यू कैन सेंड मी और विकल्प संगम 2 फॉर एनी क्वेश्चंस। किंजल का एक सवाल है लक्ष्मण भाई और रोशन भाई, लेकिन उससे पहले मैं सबको बताना चाहती हूँ, बिफोर आई कम टू किंजल्स क्वेश्चन, आई वांट टू आल्सो टेल एवरीवन दैट something that Roshan bhai and Lakshman bhai have highlighted, that during monsoon that place down does not need anything from the outside world, not even cooking oil or I think salt. शायद नमक के लिए हमें मार्केट में निर्भर रहना पड़ता होगा डांग में, लेकिन मॉनसून के समय में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो आपको you cannot find in the village. It becomes an ecosystem in itself, and I think that's something that Roshan bhai and Lakshman bhai have very interestingly highlighted about this region, that despite government facilitating festivals like Dang Darbar since a very long time, there have been like challenges on the other end to also improve and to reflect on the idea of the festival itself. तो उसी बात को कंटिन्यू करते हुए रोशन, एक सवाल आया है लक्ष्मण भाई जो किंजल ने पूछा है कि जो सरकार है वो अभी भी जो हमारे यहाँ पे जो जंगल है, जमीन है, और जो हमारे जंगल के अंदर जो पदार्थ है उनका उनसे क्या उन्हें उस बात पे फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, या किस टाइप की नीतियां आ रही है जिससे कि जो संबंध है जमीन का लोगों के साथ में, जंगल के साथ में, वो टूटता जा रहा है, और उससे किस तरीके का प्रभाव पड़ रहा है? बिकॉज क्योंकि इतना टाइप का सरकार जो अलग अलग जो योजना लेके आ रही है, उससे किस तरीके का प्रभाव हमारे डांगी समाज पे पड़ रहा है?
देखिए, जैसे मैंने कहा कि सरकार को पैसा चाहिए, वो साग लगाओ, साग का पेड़ लगाओ और उसमें पैसा चाहिए। तो लोगों का वो जो जंगल से वहां के मतलब जंगल झाड़ पेड़ पौधे उनसे जो नाता है उनको को लेना देना नहीं है सरकार को। पर सरकार को तो यहाँ के पर नागली को बस थोड़ा एक करके बता देना है, सिर्फ नागली ही कुछ सब कुछ नहीं है। वो तो है, नागली का सब फेस्टिवल सरकार कर रही है, तो दरबार में भी करती है। इसके अलावा अभी आज भी चल रहा है हवा में एक फेस्टिवल चल रहा है, उसमें उसके जैसे जो अपने सब्जियां तो नहीं, अनाज जो है वो बिक रहा है, चावल बिक रहे हैं और नागली का चीज बिक रहा है। बाकी जो है ना, जैसे कि सब्जियां हैं जो जंगल से जो भी कुछ मिलता है लोगों का जीवन से जो जुड़ा है बहुत सारा, उनका मतलब उसका कोई प्रचार प्रसार नहीं, सरकार इसमें कोई सहयोग नहीं दे रही, उल्टा उसको नष्ट कर रही है, पैसे कायदे से नष्ट हो रहा है वो। उनके लिए सरकार को पड़ी नहीं ना, सरकार को तो चाहिए कि जंगल में एक पेड़ रहे उसका पैसा मिले, लोगों को झाड़ से किसी पेड़ से लोगों को क्या फायदा है, कहाँ से सब्जी मिल रही है, लोग उनको सरकार को पड़ी नहीं है, उसको खत्म कर रही है। सिर्फ नागली की बात करके कहती है कि हम ये थोड़ा भी जिले को हम ऑर्गेनिक बना दिए, डांग जिले को कर दिया।
लक्ष्मण भाई आपकी
वो सब आ रही है अभी?
हाँ अभी आ रही है।
हाँ, तो सरकार ने अभी जिले को ऑर्गेनिक बना दिया, मतलब कह दिया कि डांग जिला ऑर्गेनिक है। लेकिन ठीक है, लेकिन एक समय सारा कुछ ऑर्गेनिक ही होता था, तब सरकार खुद आई और लोगों को कहा कि आप आधुनिक खेती कीजिए, ज्यादा उत्पन्न लीजिए और विकास कीजिए। तो लोग जब इतना सारा आधुनिक खेती करने लगे, अब जाके कहते हैं कि आप वही जाओ, 50 साल पीछे जाओ। थोड़ा संभव नहीं है, होना चाहिए, अच्छी बात है कि ऑर्गेनिक होना चाहिए सारा कुछ, अभी भी ऑर्गेनिक है, सारा कुछ तो नहीं, लेकिन जो ऑर्गेनिक जो भी कुछ चीजें हैं वो सरकार ही खत्म कर रही है। जैसे जंगल से जो कुछ मिला वो एकदम ऑर्गेनिक है, सरकार वही खत्म कर रही है। लेकिन यहाँ कह रही है कि आप सब खेती करो, जैसे कि चावल, हाँ चावल में आधुनिक हो गए तो थोड़ा ऑर्गेनिक नहीं रहा होगा उसमें, लेकिन सारा कुछ अगर ऐसा करना चाहो तो सरकार को तो हमारा साथ देना चाहिए कि आप जंगल में से आप सब चीजें नष्ट मत कीजिए, ताकि सारी चीजें ऑर्गेनिक रहे और लोगों को मिलती रहे। हाँ,
तो शायद
2-3 चीजें और कि मतलब जिस तरीके के प्रोजेक्ट अभी कुछ बोल रहे हैं क्या?
नहीं आप
हेलो,
रोशन भैया बात कीजिए।
हाँ, तो जिस तरीके के प्रोजेक्ट अभी आ रहे हैं, आप देखिए कहीं पे भी मतलब जो भी जंगल एरिया है जहाँ पे क्या बोलेंगे बहुत ही ओरिजिनली ऑर्गेनिक चीजें हैं, ऑलरेडी से हैं वहाँ पे, तो वैसी जगह पे ऐसे ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट आ रहे हैं। जैसे डांग में 3 बड़े डैम, वलसाड़ में 3 बड़े डैम, नर्मदा में झींग प्रोजेक्ट, उसके बाद में टाइगर सफारी पार्क, लेपर्ड सफारी पार्क, उसके बाद में बियर सफारी पार्क। तो ये सारे जो केवड़िया, आपने केवड़िया देखा, केवड़िया अभी मतलब एक गांव से शुरू हुआ था, अभी 17 गांव ऑलरेडी चले गए हैं। तो जिस किस्म के प्रोजेक्ट ला रही है सरकार, तो लगता नहीं है कि उनका कोई मंशा ऐसी है कि वो बहुत ज्यादा ऑर्गेनिक कुछ भी लगा के खा लो, वो वाला सिस्टम लाने की सरकार की नीति है। इसमें इन सारे प्रोजेक्ट में प्रोटेस्ट इसीलिए है क्योंकि ट्राइबल जीवन जो है वो जंगल के ऊपर है ना। अब जंगल ही नहीं रहेगा तो किस तरीके से आगे आगे बात की जाएगी। तो ये पूरी नीतियां जो है वो जंगल खत्म करने की है। हम जंगल बचा इसलिए रहे क्योंकि एक जीवन, एक समुदाय, एक संस्कृति जो है वो अपने हिसाब से जिंदा रह पाए, ये मुहिम है। और ये सरकार की सारी योजनाएं जितने भी हम देखते हैं, अभी आप पीडीएस की बात करो तो पीडीएस में जो दिया जाता है वो यहाँ के लोगों का फूड साइकिल ही नहीं है। क्यों दिया जाए तेल यहाँ पे, कपास या तेल क्यों दिया जाए यहाँ पे, जब यहाँ पे ओरिजिनली कल्प वृक्ष का टोंबी का तेल है, महुआ का तेल है, तो क्यों हुआ है। खुरसानु जो तेल के लिए यूज हुआ करता था डांग में पिछले 10 साल पहले, तब तक किसी के घर में बाहर से कोई तेल नहीं आएगा, लेकिन वो लोग खुद करते थे। अब वो कोप आपको दिखेगा ही नहीं, दिख ही नहीं रहा, पूरे डांग में नहीं दिख रहा है वो कोप, है ना। उसी तरीके से आप सोयाबीन देख लीजिए, सोयाबीन भी यहाँ पे होता था, वो भी नहीं हो रहा है। तो तेल के लिए जो चीजें होती है अब वो मार्केट डिपेंडेंट। अब सरकार ने जो लक्ष्मण भाई ने बात बोली कि ज्यादा खेती करो, ज्यादा कोप लो, उसका एक ही ये था कि आप इकोनॉमिकली सस्टेन कर पाओ, वो रीजन से। अब लोगों ने जब ऑर्गेनिक खेती छोड़ के मेन स्ट्रीम फार्मिंग शुरू की है, अब उसमें जो कोप आता है वो बेचेंगे, पैसे कमा रहे हैं नो डाउट, पर अब सरकार बोल रही है कि आप उसमें फर्टिलाइज यूज नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो अगेन वो बंदा जो है जिसने किया हुआ है वो कहाँ जाएगा वापस, वो साइकिल कहाँ पे लेके जा रहे हैं आप। तो ऐसी नीतियां, मतलब बिना सोची नीतियां जो है वो क्यों है कि हमारे रीजन में, और ये बहुत सारे संगठनों की मांग है कि जो रीजन में जो लोकल फूड है वही मिलना चाहिए पीडीएस में भी, तो वो क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है, सरकार क्यों नहीं करना चाह रही है। तो लड़ाई वहां पे करने की जरूरत है। हम मैंने भी काम किया है ऐसे संगठनों के साथ में जो बीज कलेक्शन कर रही हैं, लेकिन उनके साथ में मेरा प्रॉब्लम यही है कि हम मार्केट कहाँ पे दे रहे हैं उनको, है ना। और मार्केट मिल भी रहा है तो क्या वो सही में गेन हो रहा है या डिक्रीज हो रहा है, तो ये सारी चीज सोचनी पड़ेगी। और जो प्रोडक्शन करने वाला है पहले उसकी फूड सिक्योरिटी की बात हो, उसके बाद में जो डिपेंडेंट है उसकी फूड सिक्योरिटी की बात हो, है ना। आई थिंक
रोशन भाई एंड लक्ष्मण भाई, आपने बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट मुद्दों पे लाइट डाला है। और हमारे पास में कुछ सवाल भी आए हैं, लेकिन मैं चाहूंगी कि हम लोग एक बार सेशन के बाद में एक और जने हैं हमारे साथ में, वो बोलेंगे, उसके बाद में हम ले सकते हैं। आई वुड लाइक टू नाउ वेलकम Kuzang from Local Futures. Local Futures has been working extensively in Ladakh and trying to create a local movement of not just food, but like of different aspects of life, culture, polity, economy in Ladakh. And we would really like to welcome you and hear you out, Kuzang. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. If my voice is distorting because of bad internet, let me know.
Yeah.
And I had prepared a script before Roshanji and his friends spoke about these issues. And I think like part of it skipped my mind because they actually talked about a lot of important issues that is very, it's relatable. It's a similar thing. I think a lot of these things are happening in places where indigenous people have been staying, and there are corporate government policies which are not made as per the environment where they're trying to apply these policies. Yeah, so I was able to relate so much of it that I forgot where I was going to start my script. But yeah, thank you for having me here. Thank you, Kalpavish, Vikalp Sangam, and everyone who's watching us. So my name is Kuzang Dichin. I am from Leh, which is a small part in Ladakh. It's not basically Ladakh, but it's a small part. And I have done my master's in commerce. I'm pursuing my second master's in anthropology from Dayal Singh College through IGNOU University. Also, I've been associated with Local Futures since 2019. They have done a conference called Economics of Happiness, which was related to localization. It was related to awareness, different kind of activities. And also Local Future has not been doing the similar work in Ladakh, but all around the world. If you know about what Helena Norberg-Hodge, who is the founder of Local Future, has been doing incredible things around the world, and world localization is being celebrated in the month of June. You can also log into the page and see all the different activities that are happening for this theme, World Localization Day. So apart from what Local Future has been doing for past 2 decades in Ladakh, related to mindful travel. So because if you know Ladakh, you might be knowing it either related to China border or something happening to the border, or through tourism. So there are 2 aspects, but then agriculture maybe is not a very prominent or famous perspectives through which people know about Ladakh. But yeah, Ladakh has always been self-sufficient, and Ladakh has been open to tourists or travelers in 1980s, like the early 80s. Since then, it has been influenced by foreigners, local tourists, and I think part of Local Future's work was to make these travelers aware of the self-sustainability, the kind of where the Ladakh is Ladakh is situated in a place where it is very different than rest of India, if you know. It's situated on the bank of Indus and some part of another river called Shyok, which people might not know about. So it's actually divided into different valleys, and people are sustained on these bank of rivers, depending on the agriculture for a very long time, until tourism started like a decade or 2 decades ago. And a lot of people switched from mainstream agriculture to tourism or government employees. So a lot of urban migration problem, a lot of population problem or water problem arises due to these urban migration. And Local Future and other NGOs are trying to find parallel solutions. I would not say that it has become such a big problem, cannot be solved, but if these things are not addressed on time, it could lead to a problem which is happening in, let's say, a place called Down, wherein this place has always been organic. Like there are villages in Ladakh who had not used fertilizer. They are still organic, but like similar situation as government giving these pesticides, government supplying these chemicals for the field so that they can yield more for selling, right? So now government is trying to convert Ladakh into an organic state. Of course, we appreciate these efforts. That's when I think civil society needs to be aware of what's happening on the ground and what's happening in the government policies and corporate interests. So Local Future did a movie during the pandemic called Young Farmers of Ladakh to encourage or to collect footage of people who were, instead of going into a tourism business or looking for a government job, they were choosing agriculture, farming. So this Young Farmer of Ladakh is a very raw footage that we had collected and compiled together, which is available on YouTube. It has subtitles. It is in a local language, but it has subtitles. So please watch it. And after that, we did a couple of events related to local food, because food is the base of a local economy. And if we can come back to self-sustainability, even though Ladakh is not as influenced as other parts of India, but that whole globalization movement, you can notice it in Ladakh very strongly in past 10 years. So we did a conference called The Future of Our Food in an NGO called LAMO, Ladakh Art and Media Organization. So Local Future do a lot of collaborative work with other NGOs in Ladakh, so that the bond, the impact is stronger and movement has more reach. That's when I think we met Ashish Kothari. We had invited Ashish Kothari to speak or give a presentation, and due to bad internet, he could not. And then when he visited Ladakh is when we organized first Vikalp Sangam. I think it was second Vikalp Sangam Ladakh in September 2021. And that Vikalp Sangam was quite interesting, quite rich, because different people from different sector had come, shared their experiences, scientists, vegetable scientists, agriculturists, people from land to someone who has been working in the research centers, were on the same platform talking about things that we can do for Ladakh's future, or maybe food and agriculture. The theme of Vikalp Sangam was food and agriculture. And during that food and agriculture Vikalp Sangam, we came up with a lot of ideas that we posed to our local government. So because Ladakh is a hilly region, we have Hill Council. So Hill Council is one of the governance body in Ladakh. We actually had a lot of positive response from Hill Councils as well. Because like they were telling, like Roshanji was telling us, that government have their own policies which doesn't align with what's happening on the ground. I think as an NGO, what we were trying to do was look for a middle path where maybe there are people in the government as well, like in Hill Council for that matter, the government body. We were trying to look for people who can collaborate with us and work on the idea together. And there were a lot of ideas, initiatives that were designated or that were taken responsibility by different NGOs, and Local Future had taken a responsibility of reviving local food craft festivals, making a farmers market, and we're still making effort to do these initiatives. I think farmers market or local market is something a very new space that might create awareness, and that might create a platform for producers, because people who have not read about Ladakh as such, and there are different valleys altogether, and Leh is a very prominent area where all the urban migration is happening, and rest of Ladakh is still in agriculture as much. Like it's not as influenced by globalization as Leh. So I think it's not very late for Ladakhis to realize the importance of local economy. I mean, that could be an advantage for us. So there is a festival. We would not want to call it festival, because every now and then another NGO or a government, they want to do a festival which I think for their intention is to make it effective, but it eventually is not affected at all. So we want to name this event as Local Food Craft Confluence, where people can come, enjoy the food while having a conversation around that food that they're having, related to what ingredients that they are made of, what is the nutritional value. It was quite surprising for us to know that the nutritional values or nutrition percentage of certain crops which are produced in Ladakh are not even estimated yet. So we would like to call nutritionists to see if they can find out, research about it, find out more about, just to make people aware of the importance of local food, local ingredients which are grown here. That is nutrition value and health is one of the aspects, but second aspect is environment wise, like a lot of food comes from outside in Ladakh in past 10 to 20 years, starting from milk to sugar to salt to refined oil. Even the vegetables comes from Kashmir. The situation is at a point where most of the things come from outside, and it's affecting an environment. It's affecting the environment as well, the ecosystem. So it's not. I think Local Futures focus is not just to revive food for health reason, but there are a lot of other aspects, economic wise, environment. Yeah, I mean, we are still trying to figure it out. As I said, Ladakh is very, it's not badly affected yet, but there are very less percentage of people who are seeing the change right now. And change can be in two ways, one in a positive and one in a negative way. So as you know, places like Manali, Shimla, places like Leh, which are touristy places, has always been spoiled if locals are not hosting it properly. For example, Bhutan has a limitation of how many tourists they can host or what they can produce. So I think Ladakh needs to learn from other places to be a host, as well as even for local people, how we want to stay in a place like this, which has very limited water resources, very limited food resources, and yeah. So I'm just hoping for a lot of positive feedbacks and positive aspects for the conference that we are planning in July as well. Data is not fixed yet, but we are going to call all the local entrepreneurs to put up a stall and prepare the food there, and participants who will be coming to eat the food will be preparing with them as well. So we wanted to make it more participatory conference instead of one-way festival where there are stalls which are put up and then people are coming to buy it. It's just a monetary exchange. So this would be a more hands-on experience. We are trying to bring in music, as local music as well. We'll have a movie screening talking about localization, maybe related to food. It's a 2-day conference. We'll definitely let you know when the dates are fixed. And we are also hoping to make it an annual festival. So this year we are going to keep barley, Nas, as the theme. So local barley is an important pillar for Ladakh. So this year we are planning to keep barley, and next year maybe buckwheat. It's another millet which is grown here, considered very healthy. It can cure cancer as well. People have got to know recently about this crop. So we are thinking of doing annual festivals by keeping different crop as theme of the festival. So let's see.
Kuzong, can you highlight how many people have been involved so far, or how many women specifically have been?
A lot of, actually. We have 3 main NGOs called Local Future, LAMO, that is Ladakh Art and Media Organization, and another NGO called Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust. It's 3 NGOs initiating it, but then we are associated with another NGO called LNP, Leh Nutrition Project, and Women Alliance of Ladakh is also associated with. In fact, because there are different, if you know, Ladakh is not a mono religion place. So it has different religion as well. Like Islam has two sects, Shia, Sunni, and then Christians as well. So we have different religious associations, and women of different religious associations are also involved in this festival. So that's an interesting aspect. Plus, because I told you, Leh is already overpopulated with people due to urban migration. We are not going to do the conference in Leh. We are going to do the conference in a village which is a little far from Leh, so that the city would not have a pressure of people, water, garbage. That's the idea of it.
That's really interesting to hear, Kuzan. You're saying when is the festival happening? Maybe the participants might be interested. So you can write to us separately, and whenever there is like the event is near, we can like circulate it.
Can I send you my email on the chat? People can.
I think it's disabled. You can send it to me. I'll share it with the group.
Yeah, I have just emailed you. Chat on the chat box. I have texted you my email. You can always contact me. Dates are, as I said, dates are not fixed because we are still looking for finances. We have made two separate budgets. One like the lowest budget which we can manage with. One is higher budget if we can. If we can collect that budget. So we'll let you know the dates when it gets fixed.
Okay. I think it was really there. Okay.
I'm not even sure whether I was understandable enough for everyone.
No, you were. Your video was a bit hazy, but we could understand everything very clearly. Kinjal has a question for you. Are there people or organizations innovating in Ladakh for vegetable to be green using alternative farming methods?
Yes, actually, there are a lot of people. So Local Future is one of the NGOs. There are individual entrepreneurs and like I mentioned, LMP, Leh Nutrition Project. They have been working in Ladakh for quite some time related to food.
All right, I think we have about 15-20 minutes left. So anyone with any question can write it down to us. I think this has been personally also a very interesting conversation. Okay, we have one question here, which is to all the speakers by Sudha. I have a question for all the speakers. So if you can speak about, so whoever was talking about wild foods, why do we give so little emphasis on wild animals and insects? So I think this is specifically for Pradeep, I suppose. And these foods are so integral to Adivasis and Dalit communities and part of their cultures, and also very nutritious, especially as protein sources. Mujhe yaad hai ki I think Roshan Bhai had mentioned something on tribals having access to fish and fisheries and cattle in down. So if anyone wants to speak why there is a little emphasis specifically on wild animals and in general, since we're talking about cultural assertion and rights, is there anyone who can take this question up?
वाइल्ड एनिमल्स हम एज अ फूड देख रहे हैं, मतलब एज अ फूड पूछ रहे हैं या फिर एज अ मतलब क्या?
एज अ फूड, प्रोटीन फूड। या
ओके। तो पहली बात तो कि फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट जब से आया है तब से अहम कारण जो है ट्राइबल लोगों का माइग्रेशन करने का, जो मेन पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया में से है, मुझे लगता है कि जंगल में से शिकार करने की जो अनुमति थी वो नहीं दी जा रही है अभी, क्योंकि मॉनसून टाइम पे आपको बहुत कुछ मिल जाएगा, लेकिन बाकी टाइम पे मांसाहार जो है वो ज्यादातर जानवरों के ऊपर बहुत ही निर्भर रहना पड़ता था। लेकिन जंगल के साथ का जो नाता तोड़ दिया गया है, मतलब अभी आप घुस ही नहीं पाओगे, तुम्हें मतलब सिखा दूर की बात है, मतलब कानून में लिखा है कि आप ट्रेडिशनली अगर कोई चीज जैसे लकड़ा है, पत्ते हैं, वो लाने के लिए सिर्फ जो बैलगाड़ी होती है उसका इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, उसके अलावा आप किसी भी किस्म का चीज ला नहीं सकते हैं। ऐसा फॉरेस्ट गाँवों में इतनी ज्यादा है नहीं कि लोग हक से बोल पाएंगे ये तो हमारा अधिकार है, ये बोलने वाले लोग हैं नहीं। तो जंगल में जो घुसना, जंगल के ऊपर की जो निर्भरता है उसको काट दिया गया है। और दूसरी तरफ उनका शिकार रुका है ऐसा नहीं है, लोगों ने शौकिया शिकार बहुत किया है। ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी ऐसी कम्युनिटी है जो जानती है कि किस टाइम पे किस पशु का मेटिंग पीरियड है, कब वो प्रजनन करेंगे, कब वो बच्चे होंगे। मतलब वैसे ही पक्षियों में भी है, तब उसका शिकार नहीं होता है। तो ये साइकिल पता थी। तो जब तक फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट नहीं था तब तक जंगल वन्य सृष्टि सब बहुत बहुत ज्यादा थी, वो फली फूली रही थी, क्योंकि वो एक कुदरत के साथ के रहने का जो नियम जो है वो आदिवासी जानते थे। बाकी लोगों ने भी स्वीकार किया। आपने देखा होगा बड़े बड़े फॉरेस्ट ऑफिसर के बंगलों में जाके देखोगे तो सांबर के सींग ऐसे दीवार पे लटके होंगे। उनके बच्चों ने शेर के वो खाल वगैरह नाखून के लोकेट पहने होंगे। ये सारी चीजें जो शौकिया की गई हैं उसकी वजह से उसका निकंदन निकल गया है। दूसरा चीज लोग लक्ष्मण बागुल ने बोला कि जब जंगल कटता है तो हर किस्म का पेड़ कटता है, हर किस्म का, फल वाला भी होता है, फूल वाला भी होता है, जाड़ी मूल वाला भी, सब कटता है। लेकिन जब उसके सामने जब पेड़ लगाती है सरकार तो कौन से लगाती है? सिर्फ सागौन, टिकवुड, क्योंकि उसका मार्केट वैल्यू बड़ा है। उसका फॉरेस्ट में उसका वैल्यू इतना हाई नहीं है, वो मानसून में आपको पत्ते देगा, उसमें खाएंगे। उसके अलावा ना उसके बीज खाए जा सकते हैं, समर में ना छाव देगा, मतलब उस तरीके का पेड़ है। लेकिन सरकार उसके ऊपर फोकस क्यों करती है? कि उसका पैसा अच्छा मिलता है ना। तो ये बहुत सारी चीजें इंटरलिंक्ड है कि उसके ऊपर क्यों नहीं। बट वही है, मुख्य कारण यही है कि अगर आप आदिवासियों को जंगल से हटा दोगे तो थोड़ी मुश्किल तो होगी। मतलब जंगल किस तरीके से रखना है ये फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट को आज तक नहीं समझ में आया है। इंडियन फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट को आज तक पता नहीं चला है कि किस तरीके से कंजर्व करना है ना। तो मेरे हिसाब से ये मेन रीजन है कि हम उसके बारे में बात नहीं करते हैं। प्लस उसके ऊपर जो है वो एक धार्मिक रंग चढ़ाना जो है ना, ये जो बाबा, जो दाढ़ीधारी बाबा जो घुस गए हैं, फिर वो यहाँ पे आके बोलते कि मांसाहार तो ये है, मांसाहार तो वो है, ऐसे वगैरह। तो बहुत सारे रीजंस है, लेकिन मेन रीजन यही है कि फॉरेस्ट का जो एक्सेस था आदिवासियों के पास में वो निकाल लिया गया, हटा लिया गया है ना। इसकी वजह से हम अब ज्यादा बात भी नहीं करते। अगर मिलता है तो खा लो, बोलना नहीं है किसी को क्या मिला है।
और कम हुआ, मतलब जानवर पशु पक्षी कम होने का वजह है कि जो एकदम जो घने जंगल थे तब प्रजनन ज्यादा होते थे, जानवर भी बहुत पैदा होते थे, पशु पक्षी ज्यादा पैदा होते थे। जब घना जंगल, तो जब खुला कर दिया तो प्रजनन प्रक्रिया भी खत्म हो गई। मतलब लोगों का घर तो उजड़ा, जानवरों का, पशु पक्षियों का जंगल भी फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने उजाड़ दिया, तो अब जानवर कम हो गए, इसलिए शिकार भी थोड़ा कम हो गया। जानवर ही खत्म कर दिया, मतलब उसका जो प्रक्रिया था रहने का, मतलब जानवर पशु पक्षी का घर ही अगर खत्म कर दिया है तो प्रजनन कहाँ से होगा? ये इसलिए जानवर पशु पक्षी कम हुए, इसलिए शिकार भी थोड़ा कम हुआ।
या इसमें एक मैं जोड़ना चाह रहा हूँ कि एक्चुअली सही बात कही है ये कि एक तो ये है कि बाय लॉ अभी तो बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट है, तो हंटिंग वगैरह तो बैन ही है। लेकिन हम हमारे फूड फेस्टिवल और उसमें फिशेस, क्रैब्स वगैरह जो है तो वो भी एक इंक्लूड करते हैं कि नॉट ओनली द लीफी और द प्लांट बेस्ड वाइल्ड फूड, but also these fishes and crabs also included in our food festivals, but not wild animals which are listed in the ban list of the Wildlife Protection Act and all that. So वो तो है, because of the ban we cannot use that.
हमारे पास में बहुत कम समय है। मैं एक बस छोटी सी चीज बोलना चाहूंगी। आई जस्ट वांट टू शेयर समथिंग दैट हैज बीन a major point of discussion in the larger movement for localization, not just in terms of food, but localization of life and livelihood of each and every individual, not just living in rural spaces, but individuals like you and I can also make a difference in in maybe focusing on the kind of choices that we sort of like usually adopt in our daily lives. I think the reason why localization should also be in focus, and especially hearing so many of our individual panelists here, is that there are different types and different definitions of festivals that I could understand today. But largely the idea was like 2 to 3 folds, which I could like maybe assess. One of the important things was to connect health and nutrition of individuals while celebrating the act of local production and local consumption of products. At the same time, making sure that this is an intergenerational transfer of knowledge towards the youth. And I feel one of the central food items or the grain in the discussion was millet, and I think that's there has been millet missions and millet action points which are being followed by government, and also like a lot of organizations have taken it up to make it as revive millets and to also create it as a staple diet. I think the third was assertion of identities. I think in all these areas we saw that the movement was to not just spread and celebrate their local food products, but to have an assertion of their culture, of their food cuisines, practices, and especially when initially Satish ji had mentioned how millet traditionally has been known as the crop for the poor. And this was one of the major reasons why this, along with like the processing of millet itself and like different market players coming into force, had led into the reduction of consumption of millets. I think along with the assertion of identity, what an interesting thing that I have seen in different parts, and especially when I went to Nagaland for the Hornbill Festival, or any and also Northeast Network also works in Fake and Chizamni districts, specifically on millets, and they have traditionally also they've been celebrating harvest festivals and sowing festivals in the community using different mediums, so songs and musics and different words to for different millets or different products have been very important as a form of, I think, knowledge, just not in terms of like cultivation and farming processes, along with like the larger idea of economic prosperity. So I think in order to sort of culminate all these thought points together, I feel the effect of and the impact of globalization and the globalization of food has been much more clearer to all of us. Like for me individually, I could see that for me KFC or McDonald's was an easy approach. I did not know, मुझे नहीं पता है कि KFC में जो खाना आ रहा है वो किस तरीके से बन रहा है, कहाँ से आ रहा है, उसके पीछे का हिस्ट्री क्या है, what was the history or the location of the food, who's processing it. So I think, but at the same time, it was much far reaching and it was cheaper. So I think for as individuals who are living in cities and in also villages, we can see globalization's impacts much more prominent and very clearly. Whereas these small initiatives everywhere in forms of like festivals or also like their ongoing engagements with the communities for many years, and also with like different stakeholders, whether it's different communities or collaborating with government or corporate players, these initiatives are the only medium for us to see the importance and how and the reason why we need to have a more localized way of life. And beyond, if we don't recognize these things or if we are not able to collaborate and network, I think it will take many years for us to know that we are sort of like losing in on our knowledge and traditional systems in the whole process of globalization. So probably like now the idea of celebrating localization, and this year the theme was local food festivals. Last year we had celebrated something on enabling local enterprises during COVID, and we saw that there were so many initiatives during COVID which in an area had made survival during COVID much easier for many marginalized communities for whom food and access to natural resources was much easier than going and procuring it from PDS or buying products or like migrating it to different cities. So maybe the idea is to have a more globalized localization movement, and we are hoping to connect with the same group and probably include more. Like there is NEN, there is Urmul organization in Nagaland, which is in Rajasthan, and I think there are many festivals happening in India which can maybe like come together and like have an exchange. I remember Makam is also one of them. And I remember in one of the discussions, Shayad Lakshman Bhai had shared saying that we are also losing on certain seed varieties. And I realized while traveling that there are the same exact seed varieties that we could see in Madhya Pradesh. So maybe having a more global, localized movement can help in the exchange of not just ideas, but of products and of grains and items, etc. I would like to pause here. I will wait if there are any more questions. You can send it to me. And we have a very small 10 minutes food quiz if anybody's interested. Vasudha, you can share the questions on screen, and you can maybe there is a poll that you can click on to. Yeah,
so
now maybe you can help people go through it once and see how we can.
So I don't know if everyone can see the poll on their screen. Can you access it? Yeah, so you just have to press on the answer that you think is correct. We can read out the questions if you require. Should I do that, Kankana?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, which of these is not a millet? And the options are barnyard, sorghum, proso, and kalijira. So you have to choose which one you think is not a millet. And the second is, how many, should we wait or should we go question by question?
No, we don't need to wait. It's just that I cannot click on any of the responses.
Really? Is that the same issue for everybody?
Yes, same.
All right, then we can just show the questions and we can tell the answers. All right. So, so the first one is, should we just tell the answer? If people can write in the chat what they think the answer is, and we'll see. So which of these is not a millet?
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm getting answers now. So the first one is kalijira is not a millet. Barnyard, sorghum, and proso are millets. And okay, so I think people are doing the poll right now. So we'll wait for people to finish it off. We'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to finish it off. Aram se.
And how do you click on this?
You have to press on the button next to it. Yeah, so Aman has told me that you can submit the answers.
There is no button.
Wait, I'm coming to you, Pradeep. Hold.
Okay.
I can't see everything. Vasudha, is it possible that we can again start the quiz? Soma also can't submit.
Sorry, we just realized co-hosts can't do it. So participants.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have 2 sets of quizzes because there's only 10 questions allowed in one quiz. So after this, should we do the second one also? Okay. Or do you want to share those facts as facts, Kankana?
Hello?
For the second, we had that second quiz also. So I think most people have taken the quiz. So I'll share the results now.
4 people have. Yeah, you can share the results.
Yeah, I think 4 people have taken the quiz. So basically, we can share the answers now. So the first one is which is not a millet was kalijira. And how many varieties of rice are available in India is above 40,000. In fact, there are certain people who have themselves recorded over 1 lakh different kind of varieties that they've restored, that they've preserved. And which out of these is foxtail millet in Kannada? Which the foxtail millet is Navane. Same, Harku, and Odalu is different millets. Batima, a tuber found in Tripura, is used as which kitchen condiment? It's used as baking soda. And there's actually a very short, interesting video which I can share with the group that talks about how it's extracted into baking soda. And lastly, as everyone said, eucalyptus trees aren't native to India. And coconuts are harvested all year round. I love how everyone knew that. And Gossypium herbaceum, known as Kala cotton, is found in Kutch, Gujarat. What type of cotton is it? It's a short staple cotton. Ragi muddai, a popular dish in Andhra, Telangana, and Karnataka. Where did the dish originate from? It originated from Uganda, and the historian K.T. Achaya said it made its way over to India around 1800 BC. And chapra or red ant chutney is a dish that comes from Bastar, Chhattisgarh. And lastly, the drink handia is used in festivities in Mayurbag, Odisha. The drink is made it's a fermented rice drink that is made. And we have a few more facts to share with you on indigenous food and local food systems. Ajam Emba is a restaurant that's located in Jharkhand, and it's known for authentic indigenous cuisine from tribal hinterlands of the state. The name means great taste, and it comes from Kuduk language spoken in Oran tribe, with the aim to revitalize Adivasi culture, Adivasi cuisine, and it's found in Jharkhand. Do you want to go through the other two facts, Kankana?
I can't see the next questions.
Okay.
Continue. That's okay.
Wait, let me try there's one more very short quiz. I have, because there's only 10 questions allowed in one. So
okay.
I had to do 2 quizzes.
You can write the question down in the chat.
Yeah. This all. So can anyone answer the question we've written in the chat?
Okay. Okay, we are often confused for each other, perhaps because of our lurid color range that we share. The key difference is not so much in the looks, but one is made of urad dal. I don't know the English for urad dal, and other flour mix, while the other is usually made of maida, which is the refined flour. What are these two things that we're talking about? It's an Indian sweet dish.
If anyone can answer, just write it to us on the chat bar.
There's no response.
So we can just share the answer. It's Imrati and Jalebi. Okay, and the last question, which might be hard to answer to, we've written down in the chat bar. The dish from Manipur is closely associated with the Meitei community, often served as a spice side dish. It is also popular as an afternoon or evening snack. 2 main types of dish exist. How do you pronounce the word? Nagari based and Thoiding basin based. So which dish is this?
I can give the options.
Yeah.
Okay. Chamthong, Eromba, and Shinju. Should be easy. Okay, the answer is Shinju.
Yeah.
Shinju. So I think, we don't have anything else.
Yeah.
We have any questions? We were also planning to do some bits of screening of each of these festivals and to show you what kind of crowd comes, what are the food, cuisine stalls, women who are involved. But unfortunately, I don't think we have time, and we also there is a lack of access that we can give it to even each other here. The recording, I really want to apologize on behalf of the course content, the hacking, but really happy that there are people who stayed back and heard us. I think something that my takeaway from the discussion is this celebration of food festival and the different types of festivals happening in India, and the larger recognition for localization and the challenges as to why certain things and the ambition and the vision and the mission behind these festivals are not being, moving as fast or as we have anticipated. But that's, again, that's the reason why we need to have certain celebrations in place to recognize these challenges as to move and work towards them. So I am hoping we will edit and we will share this video, and the entire discussion will be uploaded on Vikalp Sangam page on YouTube, and you can also check out. You can also reach out for any more questions. I realize that there have been like a lot of issues in terms of like putting the questions forth. So you can reach out to us, or we can also put you in touch with the different speakers today. And we would like to thank individually Pradeep, Roshan, Lakshmanji, Kuzang, and Satishji. And hoping to see you all again soon. Maybe if we do have something happening on the food festivals, we'll be in touch with all of you guys. And I would also like to thank Vasudha for coordinating this so well all this while. So thank you and have a great evening.
Thank